Klasky, Page, Yates, and in New York,
Easy crowd.
Frank Isola. Start spreading the news. You just got worked by your arch rival in your own house. What it means for the Yanks, what it means for the Sox, what it means for Sinatra. Also, NBA in mid-season form. Jimmer chucking, Harden walking, good dog, ooping. Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
The dog is alien. The player is ooping. The dog was alien.
Pretty impressive. The player
It's Around the Horn, the show of competitive banter. Here's Tony Reale.
Champagne number 2 for the Red Sox this postseason. This time a little more Devil's Triangle-y, maybe, opposed to the toast when they click. It's a drinking game. The New York troll in the Yankees house. How much of this was that? How much of this was Alex Cora picking winning lottery tickets out of his wazoo? While Aaron Boone looked like a guy who just went from the booth to the dugout? And how much of this was just a 108-win team being better than a 100-win team? Frank, start us off.
Well, that has a lot to do with it. Boston was the better team all season long. They proved it in the playoffs. And for me, Game 3, Eovaldi starting for the Red Sox and Severino just not having it for the Yankees. And Boone, why did he go to Lance Lynn in that situation in Game 3? I have no idea. They didn't get any timely hitting. The Red Sox were the better team all season. They deserve to win this series. I'll tell you what, if you're Giancarlo Stanton, it's going to be a long type of A-Rod offseason for you.
An A-Rod type of offseason because you're believing he didn't perform up to what his salary would suggest in the postseason. Clinton Yates, your view of it?
Yeah, I mean, the Yanks bats went super cold in this situation, but I do think there's a lot to be put on Boone. The Severino situation, to me, though, was much further than him not just pulling him when he could have. That whole warm-up scenario before the game, how does that happen? I don't understand that whatsoever, and I like the fact also, on the other side, that Cora went with Vasquez behind the dish in this series that paid off in droves in the last game. They had question marks as to whether or not he even was going to make the 25-man roster for them as far as the catching scenario was concerned, and he ended up playing off really well. Two rookie managers, one showed much better than the other. I think,
So you think it was more Cora winning it, or Boone losing it, or the Red Sox just being better?
I think the Red Sox are a better team, but Boone didn't give themselves any chances. I mean, the bats were cold, but it didn't appear that he had the confidence in his bullpen as he should have in terms of running his starting pitchers out there too.
Woody, what decided this series for you?
Well, let's give the Red Sox credit. Let's give people who said yesterday on the show that the Red Sox would win last night, let's give them some credit and extra points, too. I think that what you have here is a team that's much superior. If you're going to live by the home run, you're going to die by the home run. We saw that with Stanton in his last at-bat last night. But credit to the Red Sox totally. With their rookie manager, you were talking about it. He should have been in the parking lot after the game looking for wallets and purses because every move he made was perfect and worked out. Making moves to put new people in left field and catcher in the game that hadn't played previously. I just think that his pitching moves were all great. He didn't even go out to get Kimbrel in the last of the ninth because he's going to win it for us. I think.
Maybe he had no other move to make after he went to Sale there. I'm glad you got your point for predicting the game correctly yesterday. Do you recall who you picked in this series last week, Woody Page? Because I do. You said, I can't get my lips around saying the Red Sox winning this series. You had New York winning this series. Mute. Let's go out to Bill Plaschke.
No, it's all about, to me, it's all about Alex Cora. And I object to the fact that we call it a lottery ticket. This guy was the bench coach for the world champion Astros last year. He's not a rookie manager. He's been here before. He's done this before. This is a guy who knows his team. Whatever guy could, Brock Cole hits for the cycle, is on the bench the next day for Kinsler, and it works out. Vasquez hadn't caught Porcello all season long, puts him in there, it works out. He brings in Porcello out of the bullpen, he brings in Sale out of the bullpen, and again, Woody pointed this out. The look on his face in the ninth inning when Kimbrel was out there, choice or no choice, he was like, this is our guy, we're going to live or die with this guy, and they live with this guy. This is a guy who knows his team. Give Alex Cora all the credit for this series.
Frank, if you were to autopsy the Yankees season, the way they're constructed, living by the home run and dying by the home run is what he said, and also the heavy bullpen, but not getting the best bullpen they have in this series. Is that a fundamental flaw with this team?
Yeah, I think it was. And also look at their starting pitching, 15 innings and 13 runs they gave up. And Tony, if you go back to last season, when they fired Joe Girardi, they wanted more of a touchy-feely kind of manager, and Joe Girardi was too much by the book. Well, guess what? By the book got you a World Series. It got you an average of 90 wins a year, and it got you to, in one inning, of being in the World Series last year. So always pressure on a Yankee manager. Going to be a lot of it.
Do you think this series is different if Joe Girardi's the manager, Frank Isola?
I'm not saying that, but I do think they had a good thing going, and they felt like they had to change everything up, where I felt like Joe Girardi was doing a pretty good job. Aaron Boone has a chance to be a great manager. He did not have a great series.
Clinton, your ears perked up the idea of Girardi maybe being a better fit with this team as they're constructed.
I mean, you wonder about that because you're right. As Bill mentioned, it's Boone coming out of the booth is a completely different situation than a rookie manager coming somewhere else. And Girardi, a lot of people thought that maybe he had to go, but he shouldn't have. I just think that this team is too far as the Yankees are concerned. Too many bloop and blast type things. You never feel that they can really put it together and manufacture when they need.
Well, they were atrocious hitting with runners in scoring position all year. I mean, towards the bottom half of the league, and that played out in this series again. Played out last night in the ninth inning. Two more drama to throw on here. One was the New York that Aaron Judge volunteered to give to the Red Sox as some ammunition. That came back to bite him. And then CC Sabathia talking about umpire Angel Hernandez. It's possible no player likes Angel Hernandez, but how did CC come off to you, Woody Page, complaining about the performance last night?
Well, that CC Ryder at the end of the series was uncalled for, uncouth, unnecessary. I mean, there was no reason for him to do it. The stats today show that maybe Angel Hernandez made one bad call on a ball strike. And other than that, he had practically a perfect game. We are all talking about what happened 2 nights ago, but you have to remember that 3 of those 4 calls were overturned, so there was no harm, no foul on that. I just think that Sabathia should have been a lot classier, and the Red Sox, in regard to playing New York, they should have been pouring dirty water all over each other too.
Well, I mean, they do that when they're at home, but I think the New York, was everybody all right with New York as a troll job after the way Judge invited it? Go ahead, Plashke, you can answer.
That was tremendous, yes. That was something NBA teams would do. Baseball needs more of that. And yeah, as far as Sabathia is concerned, I love what the other starting pitcher said. Purcell said, hey, Hernandez did a fine job. I think he was great behind the plate. So that just shows how silly Sabathia is. Bottom line, 10.38 ERA for Yankee starters equals the worst for any postseason series in the franchise's history. It's all starting pitching. It's all starting pitching.
And Frank, a last word about hearing New York played right in the face.
Well, think about it. The Red Sox have won the last 4 playoff games in Yankee Stadium. Getting back to CeCe really quick. Could have been his last ever start with the Yankees. I know he wants to come back. But Woody is right. He's been a class pitcher, a class guy. How would he like it if Angel Hernandez had a post-game press conference and said, you know what? They should have taken CeCe out after the first inning. He didn't have it. This was not on the umpire. He didn't have a great series, but CeCe, that was a bad moment for him.
We've been warned. We'll move on. Let's talk some basketball. And by basketball, I mean Jimmy Butler's deadline, after his deadline, after his deadline, after his trade request, after his trade request. The deal to Miami allegedly fell through. Now the Houston Rockets reportedly interested in Butler, but not willing to deal P.J. Tucker and Eric Gordon. T-Wolves getting ready to start the season with Butler on roster. Mediate here, Bill Plashke. Is there any way Butler should get what he wants? And does Houston need to make this move?
No, Houston does not need to make this move. I think Tucker and Gordon are part of the fabric of that team. They don't need to bring Jimmy Butler into it. They're doing just fine. Minnesota, learn from the Kyrie Irving thing. Keep him. They're like 11. When Wiggins and Cat are on the floor with Butler, they're 11 points better than when he's not. They're a much better team with him there. Keep him. Try to make him happy. It's silly to trade him at this point. You're not going to get value for him anyway.
When you say they learn from the Kyrie Irving thing, you're saying that the Cavaliers made a mistake in trading Kyrie to Boston?
Absolutely.
Even though the Cavaliers still made the finals. Okay. Woody Page, how about you?
They did the year before.
Well, Bill, that Rockets fabric you're talking about is unraveled during the offseason, and I don't see that it's getting that much better than it was last year, and they didn't get to the finals. So I think it's a situation where you make this deal. You still own the bird rights, and you could make a maximum contract offer to him next year. He's from Houston. He wants to play for a contender. What better shot for him to have a chance at a championship than going there and putting them over the top, because he is a shutdown cornerback in basketball in terms of his defense, and he is a great outside shooter. I just think you've got a guy that would be perfect for that franchise. Gordon, Tucker, and a second-round draft choice, really?
You'd make that move right now. So you're not worried that Tucker is a fabric guy for this team. Yates, how about you?
I would not make this move whatsoever. Just because it goes back to Houston doesn't mean that I think he's going to be happy. That would be on 3 franchises in a row that he's had to go to because he's finally decided that he wants to play in the NBA for a certain team. And overall, I'm sorry, I like Butler. I just don't think he's worth blowing up your team for. The reason they didn't make the finals last year, Woody, is because Chris Paul got injured, not because all of a sudden they just didn't have the talent. I'm not blowing this up at all. They've already got enough of an issue with Carmelo jumping into the fray, and you don't know how that's going to go. I'm not doing more with Butler and risking it. I'm just not.
Isola?
Yeah, I got to go along with Clinton and Bill on this one. When you think about, P.J. Tucker, Eric Gordon, good role players. Jimmy Butler wants to be a star. They have stars already on the Houston Rockets. And remember, Luke Mamute no longer there. Trevor Ariza, they need defense. Are you really going to get rid of P.J. Tucker, who's he's a pit bull out there? So I don't like that. But if I'm Minnesota, that's the kind of deal I'm holding out for. I love this idea that, Minnesota's been dragging their feet. So I'm supposed to give away my best player and take away players that you no longer want. I think Minnesota actually has handled this the right way, and the situation has been a mess.
Lashke.
Yeah, Minnesota's doing it right. I mean, again, why do you have to give in to these guys? If it works better there, and it can, who knows if they couldn't convince them to stay there? Maybe they have a good, you don't know. You don't get rid of him for nothing right now. That's just ridiculous.
Last word, Woody Page.
Frank, you should know better. You were involved in that Carmelo trade, the Knicks and the Nuggets, and the Nuggets got a wealth of talent off that team from the Knicks. Yeah. And if you wait until trading deadline to trade him, you're going to get pennies on the dollar. Now you can get the dollars.
Bill Plaschke, 20, Woody Page, 12, Clinton Yates, 19, Frank Isola, 18. That'll be the last word here.
He mentioned Carmelo first, not me. He mentioned him.
Yeah.
Stunning.
Shut down corner, Carmelo. Suboptimal, ranked 29th in the NFL. Des Bryant wants back in, says he can still move the sticks. However, Jerry...
Every team doesn't have a true number one receiver. Those guys that just absolutely can change the ball game. And that hasn't been our case for several years here, that we've had a true number one.
Haven't had one in several years here. Whose side are you on, Bill?
Oh, I'm on Des Bryant's side on this one. Jerry Jones, maybe they haven't a 1,000-yard receiver in several years, but the last 2 seasons, over 16 games, Des Bryant averaged 857 yards, catches, and 7 touchdowns. No receiver on the Cowboys will be close to that this year. Jerry Jones needed to make a change and replace him, and he didn't do it, and now he's trying to make up for it.
Woody Page?
I'm buying Jerry Jones. He was absolutely correct. I don't know why in the world his general manager wouldn't go out and get a number one receiver for, that's right. He is the general manager. He should fire himself. He's the one responsible that they don't have one.
Clinton Yates.
Yeah, I agree. I'm buying neither one here. This is like watching some couple you're tired of dealing with argue at a party. You think I care about what some guy who's not in the league says to an owner about whether or not a guy's a wide receiver one just because you want to find a way back onto that roster? Why don't you worry about Jason Garrett making awful decisions at the end of games that you probably should have won, and then maybe you'd be in a better position. Forget about what Des Bryant.
Frank Isola.
It's a low blow, and one of the things that impacts this is that Dak Prescott is a good quarterback, not great, but guess what? The draft this year, they could have drafted Calvin Ridley. He ended up going to Atlanta, and they already have Julio Jones. So Jerry Jones should look at himself. He could have drafted a number one receiver.
We'll move on. Buy or sell 2. Giants coach Pat Shurmur.
And in the case of Saquon, he's doing everything that you would want to see as a coach. He displays humility. He says the right thing, but when he says it, I think, and you all write about it and report on it, don't you sense a genuine nature to what he says?
Coach went on to talk about other leaders in the league, and Carson Wentz was a name he invoked. How much of it is you think Shurmur loving up his running back? How much of it is conveniently leaving out his 2-time Super Bowl MVP and his highest paid wide receiver of all time? Woody, you want to answer that?
I'm selling him everything he said there. He didn't mention that the most important thing that you want from a rookie running back is somebody who can run the football. They've got a free agent undrafted here in Denver that has more yards than Barkley does. Secondly, drooling over Wentz. Why don't you talk about your own players? And third, we know he was going after Eli Manning and Beckham with what he was saying.
Do you think this was a shot at those guys, or at least
Cross the bow.
Really? Clinton Yates, how about you?
I just think this was completely disingenuous on every level. The reason why Saquon Barkley thinks that this team can still make the Super Bowl is because he's a rookie in the league and doesn't know any better. And so, of course, he's got that kind of optimism about what's going on with the season. He has to in order to stay motivated. It's disingenuous and it was incorrect in terms of his analysis of the situation.
Frank, do you agree with Woody that this was a shot just because he didn't happen to mention Eli Manning? Or
I don't think it's about Eli Manning. It's about a young player. And he's looking at a young player in the division in Carson Wentz, and then he's looking at his own team. My young player goes on TV and kind of criticizes everybody out there. It's definitely a subtle dig at Odell Beckham, not so much at Eli Manning.
Bill Plaschke.
I think it's a dig at the entire Giants team. I think translated what he's saying is this team is in chaos. We don't have a leader, so I'm talking about a rookie running back as being our leader, and I'm comparing him to somebody on a division rival, for more or less. So that's, I think, what he's saying.
You think it's a dig as well? Is it all right if it's a dig? I mean, the team's got one win. I mean, is it all right for him to maybe put the flame on him a little bit, trying to motivate him?
I don't think you do it with a rookie running back. I don't think you tie your saddle to that. I don't think that works.
Tie your saddle to that. How about,
like that?
How about
You like
Plaschke
that?
there? Yeah, Woody's the one who looks like he should be riding on the saddle. We'll move on. Last night in Nashville, home opener for the Predators. And banner night. Not one banner night, not two banner night. 3 banners raised. Central Division champs, Western Conference regular season champs, President's Trophy. All for a season last year that ended in the second round of the playoffs. Those Western Conference regular season champs lost to the Flames 3-0. Clinton, buy or sell 3 banners?
I hate to sell this as somebody that not only just saw a banner go up here at the Capital One Arena, but also because it went up next to another group of banners. There are not one, but 2 regular season championship banners for the Capitals. I'm sorry, Ted. You're the one who started this nonsense. It's awful. You can't have this much going on.
So your team did it, and now the Predators are doing
I hate
it. You're
it.
selling
It's
it now.
so embarrassing.
How about you?
You know what? I don't mind the President's Trophy banner going up, but it's kind of like the Lakers and Celtics. They don't put up division titles. They just put up NBA championships. Way too many banners for a team that didn't lift the Stanley Cup.
Plaschke?
Are you guys kidding me? How many journalist bios have we read that says neighborhood backup sports writer second place of the year? We've had our resumes all the time. Everybody in this business, so they're padding their resume and they're doing it publicly. So what? They're celebrating something that they haven't been able to celebrate before. Let them do it. Let them enjoy it, because we sure all do it. And I look at bios that we all do it.
Okay, now we go to the man who's 6th on the Mount Rushmore of panelists from the Rocky Mountain region, Woody Page.
I'm totally in agreement with Bill. You have to understand, guys, I'm from Tennessee, he's from Kentucky. When we have a chance to put up a banner, we're going to do it. The entire time that I covered teams in the South, I never got close to a banner. We only got participation ribbons. I like this. More the merrier.
All right. To full disclosure here, Bill Plaschke, you are the 7-time sports columnist of the year. Is that
That's
right?
my banner, baby.
Prove it. I mean, so that's not second place in the Orange County region. No, it's not. Ooh, Woody Page, 29. You got to love that for your points per game average, but that'll be a bolt here. Yates as well. Plaschke, I saw next. Coverage of a preseason basketball game. That's how seismic Rockets Shanghai Sharks was. Houston won by 42. James Harden, is that a travel there? Yeah.
Maybe.
And Jimmer Fredette, is this a legit 41 points for Shanghai? He took 40 shots. Bill, what are you focusing on?
More Jimmer. The NBA needs Jimmer. He outscored Harden in this game, took 40 shots. There's got to be a place in the NBA for a guy who can gun like this and come off the bench. There's got to be a place as a role player. Get Jimmer back in the league right now.
Hey, Bill, eventually he'll be back in the NBA, but give me a break. He played 48 minutes. He was a minus 48 in the game. Yeah,
Still, he's
41
jacking
points on
him.
40
We need
shots.
that.
He'll be in the NBA, but slow your roll. He was a minus 48. That's hard to do.
But coming off the bench, he won't play 48 minutes in the
Point
NBA.
for the information from Isola, but a 2-point deduction for the slow your roll. We're going to move on. Showdown 2, doggy alley-oop, the most impressive part of this play. And do not slow your roll on it. Frank Isola, please.
Hey, for dog lovers and dog owners, we're not surprised by things that the dogs can do. Let's be fair. That dunk is pretty impressive. He's catching it by his hip and throwing it down. Great job by the dog. It's actually a better dunk.
The dog did an alley-oop with his nose, Frank, with his face. And the dunk was better? No, it's all about the dog. The dog had the dap at the beginning. The dog was brilliant. He did it with his nose. Why didn't the NBA dunk contest try something like this?
But Took him
Still,
48
with
tries.
his nose.
A deduction for Bill Plaschke saying Dap, but that was the best part of it, the doggy and the man giving it up in the beginning. So we'll move on. Showdown 3. And honestly, I'm gonna be fair here. This is the entire reason why we're doing a show today. All right? It's been a surprise. Here it is. Former ATH panelist Lil Wayne, career win percentage 100%, and well, current, but maybe soon-to-be former panelist Frank Isola. Let's see if he survives this. Roll tape.
Frank, I rock with you. I actually like you when you come on TV. I like your accent, your heavy New York, Italian, whatever accent. Fact is, you don't know much about me. So with that said, keep my name out your mouth.
That came after comments Mr. Isola made during, of course, the Beckham interview with Lil Wayne there. Bill, who you got, Wayne or Isola?
I got Frankie Ice. I didn't know you had an Italian New York accent. I don't know what he's talking about. And besides that, he's making you more famous than ever by putting your name in his mouth.
Well, that's true.
Hey, how you doing? Heavy New York Italian accent. All I said
You don't
was
think you have an accent,
that
Frank?
you can't be taken seriously. I didn't mean it towards Lil Wayne. If Odell Beckham had showed up with Jay-Z or with
Just take your mute. You're going to be in a song now. Drop records like Payola, drop kick like Mayola. If you want New York crapola, we got Frank Isola. Point game, FaceTime, Bill Plaschke.
Covering the Dodgers in the playoffs, I have been involved in 3 champagne celebrations in a 10-day period, and I've stayed mostly dry. My temperature hadn't gotten ruined, my shirt hadn't gotten ruined. The way I did it, easy. You go in late. You always give them about 15 minutes to get most of the champagne out. You stay by the back. You stay by the wall so nobody gets around your back. And you avoid Yasiel Puig at all costs. Stay away from Yasiel Puig. You'll be just fine.
Lil Wayne
I love the
should come after
celebrations.
him.
I hate getting
It's
wet.
Lil Wayne, not Little Wayne. Stop saying it like that. Isola rhymes with everything, though. Crayola,
That stands for
Payola,
finisher.
Viola.